Hi, I'm Kelsey with In Bloom Felt Studio, and today I'll be showing you how to make a felt hydrangea stem. The template for this pattern is on my website, and this video will show you the assembly of the cut pieces only. Let's run through the materials needed to make your hydrangea. You'll need felt in 2 shades, one for your petals and one for your leaves, about 15 22 gauge floral wire stems, fabric scissors, wire cutters, floral tape, a hot glue gun and hot glue. I also recommend using fabric stiffener spray, which makes your petals a lot easier to work with. And an optional item would be adding color to your petals using an airbrush, pan pastel, watercolor, whatever your preferred method is, and that would make the petals look something like this. Let's get started. Here are my hydrangea pieces all laid out. This flower is made with 5 bunches of 5 petals each, and you can make your flower bigger or smaller by adding more or less bunches. Before we get started, I wanted to point out that I sprayed all of my pieces with fabric stiffener. I have a link below, mine's just in this spray bottle, but it makes the petals more firm, and I think that they're a little bit easier to work with. Here's a petal that I haven't sprayed. You can kind of see that all of these corners just move around a little bit more. Totally fine if you don't spray them, but I like the end result a little better with the stiffer petals. So I've gone ahead and sprayed mine and let them dry. And first I'm going to get started by showing you how to make the flower centers, and then we'll add the petals. So set these petals and leaves aside for now, and we'll start with our rectangles. We're going to use these rectangles to make the flower centers for your petals. Each bunch of 5 petals will have one long 22 gauge wire stem. So here are 5 stems, one for each bunch. And what you're going to do is take one of your rectangles, which you can cut using your scrap excess felt or using your Cricut to cut these out for you. Position the wire so it's almost to the top. Add a little bit dab of glue over the wire and on either side. Fold one corner over, using my nail to press and hold it, and then fold the other edge over. These are teeny tiny. And then once your glue is set, you're going to use your scissors to snip off the excess. And that's going to be our center for every single one of our petals. So continue that process for the last 4 long stems. So all of my 5 long stems are done. I'm going to set these off to the side, and we're going to have 20 petals left. These can be made, either you can keep the stems long or you can trim them. I'm going to trim mine because then I can get more usage out of these stems. You'll want them to be at least 3 to 4 inches long. Use your wire cutters to cut them. And you'll want 20 pieces for the remaining petals. So now we're going to add the flower centers the exact same way we did to the long stems until all of our 20 short stems have the tip added. Now I have the flower centers added to all of my stems. I have my 5 long stems here and my 20 short stems here. So remember, each bunch of petals is going to have 5 petals each, 1 long stem, and 4 short stems. I'm going to demonstrate how to make the first one. So let's add our petals. All you'll do for this is thread your petal through the stem, bring it up to the tip, add a tiny bit of glue around that center hole, just a little dab, and then you can pinch using your index finger and your thumb to pinch the flower around the center. Okay, so here are the petals needed for your first bunch. You can continue on and glue all of the petals on at once if you prefer, but I'll show you how to tape them to create the first completed bunch. Grab your floral tape, and for the very center of your flower, I'm going to hold all of these petals so that they're the exact same height. When you tape around these petals, it is going to scrunch them together, but once they're taped, we can pull the wires apart. So don't worry about keeping them in this position. Just have them so that they're all the same height, pull them together. Take the end of your tape, you'll want to leave about 1.5 inches of wire. Roll that tape around a few times in the same spot until it feels secure. And then I'm going to tape mine down just until all of these short stems are covered by the tape. Later on, when all of my stems are taped together, this part will be taped too, but I'm going to save my tape and cut it off here for now. Use your fingers to pull them apart. And this is going to be the very center of your hydrangea with all 5 of these petals the same height. The next 4 are going to be a little bit different than this very first one, but all 4 of these will be identical. So let me demonstrate the placement on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th bunch. Set your flower center aside and keep track of it. You'll need that later. So the next groupings of 5 are all going to be the same. I prepped my petals so I could show you. And for these ones, you'll tape them together with 2 at the top and then 3 on the bottom. So I'm going to put those 3 a little bit lower than my top pieces. Yep, so what I mean by that is instead of making them all the same height like before, I just shifted these 3 down. And that's because when I add them eventually around my center, it'll create a rounded hydrangea. So this next bunch of 5, 2 at the top, 3 a little bit lower, holding them together, I'm going to tape them, and then I'm going to use my hands to move the wires because they might get compressed like that. So here's what that group of 5 looks like completed, and then you'll make 3 more groups of 5 the same way. And remember to keep 1 long piece and 4 short pieces. So now my 4 identical bunches of 5 are complete. I've got my 2 on top, 3 on the bottom, all across the board here with these 4 stems. And I have my centerpiece where all 5 are the same height. So let's add them together. I'm going to hold my centerpiece, and to add these next ones, I'm just going to add 2 across from each other and 2 across from each other on the other side. Position them so they're a little bit lower than the center, so it just goes down in this nice arch, and hold them in place, and then I will tape them all together. Your petals will be bunched together due to the taping, so now you can take your fingers and pull the wires out, spread them out, and style them. So here's what that will look like when they're all spread out. Set this aside for now, and then we'll add the leaves. You can add as many leaves to your hydrangea as you'd like. I'm going to add 1 of the big and 1 small leaf. You'll add these onto 2 22 gauge wires. So position your wire so it's down the center of the leaf, almost to the top. and then you'll add a line of glue on the wire, fold it over, and then let it dry. Repeat with the second leaf. When your leaves are dry, go ahead and open them up. Push on the wire on the back. Each leaf will look like this. And then you can tape them to your hydrangea stem wherever you would like. I'm going to start with the large leaf, followed by the short one. Continue taping down the stem of your flower until you've reached the point where you'd like to clip. I recommend clipping it about 1 inch above where the tape stops, and that will just stop the tape from unraveling. And here is my felt hydrangea stem. Some variations you can do with this flower are adding some of the shading to the petals to create those blended petals you see in nature, or you can add more or less of those bunches of 5 to create a larger or smaller flower. Now you know how to make a felt hydrangea stem. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, and thanks so much for crafting with me today.